You know, at this point I should probably be used to seeing these things in these ages by now, right?
This morning I woke up, and I couldn't picture Tamara's face. Little line at the corner of her lip that pulls her whole mouth down when she smiles, the flutter in her eyelashes. I tried so hard to picture her in my mind, put her down on paper as if that might bring her back. I couldn't do it. Atrus, I'm not you.
Well, hate to break it to you, Saavedro, but even Atrus couldn't do that either. But at least now we know, probably, why he didn't fill in her eyes in the painting in the observatory. He couldn't remember properly. So one thing I've been wondering about is the nature of these things. Why were they here originally? I mean, did Saavedro build them, or were they originally part of the lesson course design all along? Well, considering that the hallmark of Saavedro's constructions on these ages has been crudity, just given his circumstances, I would dare say that it was probably Atrus who put those imagers there, maybe as some sort of midway encouragement message for Cirrus and Agonar in each of the ages. Of course, that wouldn't really serve any purpose for the revamped lesson course designed for Atrus that Saavedro was putting together, so it made sense that he would use them as another opportunity to speak to Atrus about stuff. Anyway, we have come upon a new room with a big structure here that looks rather important. Whoa. Okay. Well, we can move these things around, although we don't know exactly what we're doing. Let's just leave that alone for now and continue looking around. We got another one here. And if you know your dunny numbers, which if you've played Riven, then you should, you know that this is the dunny number 1, and this one over here is the dunny number 2. Well, it seems to be the same story here. Ooh. I spy journal pages. It is taking me too long! Every minute I spend searching his house runs the risk of someone walking in and finding me. I would bring his journals to the Tusk, but I'm afraid he will notice them gone. Already I'm afraid of what he knows. Of what his wife might know. She almost caught me last time. I linked directly into the sunroom. I was walking toward his study when I heard footsteps coming down the hall. She was talking with someone. She was laughing. And for one heart-wrenching moment, I thought she was Tamara. Then I remembered my Tamara is dead. I left her to die when I went after the brothers. I told her to go to the reef, to take our 2 girls there and hide. I took the necklace she gave me to remember her, and I told her, "Oh God, Tamara, I told you it would all be okay. For years I prayed my words were not a lie, that you had made it to the reef, that you were tending the ailing lattice roots. By the weaving, Tamara, how I prayed! Until I opened his machine. I saw Narayan through his shield, and even though the barrier kept me locked inside, I knew the lattice tree had died. Narayan can't survive without the tree. No one can be alive outside his shield. Standing in Atrus's house, knowing that my wife and children were dead, I felt the fog roll toward me again. And as much as I wanted to give in to its numbness, I couldn't. I couldn't let Atrus's wife find me standing there. Somehow I waded through the haze. I made my way to the study, found the book that would take me back to Jinanen. It was right where I had left it, where they might not see it fall. I placed my hand on the panel, heard the door behind me opening, and then the study disappeared. She almost saw me. I know it. It was much too close this time. If the book hadn't been where I'd left it, next time I'll bring a book from one of his other ages with me, just in case it happens again. a little bit more detail about Saavedro's trips between Jananan and Tamana, as well as a little bit more information about this mysterious shield that he's been referring to a few times. Alright, same story, third verse. How many of these things are there anyway? This is the fourth one. And this is the fifth one. This feels really weird to see this thing in a context other than Riven, but maybe that's just me. Okay, well, if we play around with this, perhaps the thing that stands out the most is that the most common pattern we're seeing is this group of 3. And we can see that there are stationary wires, or whatever these things are, panels, I guess you could call them, here at the top and the bottom. So if that is the case, then perhaps we need to match those by rotating this thing around. And I would dare guess that these things are extending all the way around all 5 viewpoints. So whenever we rotate one in one area, we're probably affecting something somewhere else. So this may not be correct. I mean, this may be matching here, but it may not match everywhere else. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this over here, just so we have something to compare when we go looking through the other viewports. After all, this group of 2 that's spaced like that is kind of a little bit rare here, so at the very least, that's something that may not necessarily come up all that much in the sequence when we're spinning it around. Well, everything looks good there at the top and the bottom. Okay, that does not, so we're kind of in trouble there. Let's go back to the first one here and just try again. Yeah, I know, this is kind of a little tedious, but okay. Hopefully that's correct. Let's take a look. So far the top hasn't been wrong. Okay, that's right. See, if we use number 2 for reference, that wouldn't really work too well because the pattern of 3 is just too common. Okay, that looks good. That also looks good. Okay, and this is really rare as well, this thing up here. So I think it's pretty safe to say the top's alright. And this is pretty rare as well, so it looks like the bottom is alright, which means that it's really just the middle one that we need to worry about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a viewpoint through which the middle one is something that's not very common. That one had 2, but I think there are quite a few of those around, so I'm going to try to find something that's a little weirder. Yeah, this right here, that's not exactly something that we see all the time. So, how are you guys doing? There we go. Alright, so what did we just accomplish? Well, we can see these things sparking now. Well, in truth, this thing is actually an electromagnet. I guess that's not terribly difficult to figure out, but whatever it is, if you don't know it's an electromagnet, then you can at least say that it's powering something now, since it's sparking electricity everywhere. But we did see an electromagnet somewhere else, right? In Saavedro's laboratory back in Jananan. So maybe we'll finally get to see that thing with the iron shavings play out here in some way. Who knows? Anyway, let's go back to the diagram and see if anything's changed now. After all, there was a symbol with 5 dots on it, and there were 5 stations here in the electromagnet room that we could look through. No, let's not do that again. Yeah, here we go. So now we've got a few things powered up. We've got a line going over here to the shield, another line going over here to the snake, and a line going over here to the spaceship, but it's not lit up. So something's not right over there. Well, we've got at least a couple more things that are powered up now, so that's good news. So I think it's pretty safe to say that we can leave this thing behind now. There we go. I suppose it might be a little bit too much to ask to hope that this thing's open, right? Yeah. I guess it makes sense that that thing's not technically a powerable item. It was, after all, locked in a non-electric way. Okay, I gotta say, as someone who has vertigo, this section... yeah. I'm gonna try not to look down. Alright, well, we've got a couple of paths we can go through here. That one seems to go a little bit farther down, so I'm just gonna go over here real quick. Well, I can't honestly say I've ever been in an elevator that spirals down like that. And come to think of it, it kind of resembles the snake icon in that diagram, doesn't it? So I suppose we must have powered it when we turned on the electromagnet. I see it all so clearly now. So clear, without the fog to sweep it away. How the young men in the village don't want to listen to the elders. How they stand together at the back of the room, a growing knot of anger twisting inside them. "Why should we abide by your rules, old men?" they scream. "You have no life inside you left to live. You gave it up decades ago to the tree." Tamara wants to take the children home. She doesn't like the way the tempers are rising. "Do something, Saavedro," she whispers. "Tell them to stop shouting and make them listen. Tell them." "What, my love? Tell them what? That their young lives do not belong to them alone? That our people are meant to be slaves to our world?" Cirrus and Achenar can see the confusion they're creating. I catch them, looking at faces, measuring which men are most dissatisfied. Later, they will approach these men in secret. They will urge the malcontents to boycott our rituals. They will prey on their youth and dissatisfaction. And the young men will begin forming gangs. They will throw off our traditions, rise against the elders, and follow the brothers. Riots will start, and the tree will be neglected. Oh, Tamara, it's all so obvious now. But why couldn't I see it at the time? Every lie the brothers told, every whisper made to put themselves in power. And when our world started collapsing around us, why didn't I see how Cirrus and Achenar didn't care? They never believed the truth behind our traditions. They never understood the work we had to do. They only knew the time had come to leave. And when they did, they left their linking book behind, knowing I would use it to chase after them. They lured me to this world, tied me up, and left me to die here. Because I didn't stop them when I should have. Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it, Saavedro? It is sad, though. Well, all this platform contains is one lonely, glorified lever. I kind of like how the camera just kind of jerked backward as the lever was jerking backward. Well, that was kind of pointless. So obviously something needs to happen first before we do that. Okay. Gotcha. But what, though? That's the question. Well, let's continue exploring over here, because we need to check out what's behind that door, and I have a feeling this path is going to lead us to that. Ooh, check this thing out. It looks like a glide ship or something. And you know what? It looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? It very much looks like that symbol that was on the tusk for this age. So maybe this is our ticket out of here. Well, at least our ticket to the very end where we'll get the symbol in the final linking book back to Jananen. And youch, this bridge feels really unsafe. You know, Atrus, I really hope your boys didn't try starting little, I don't know, shoving matches here or whatever. Because that would have been really, really dangerous. Alright, so what do we got here? Well, nothing's happening. We can turn him back. And that one didn't do anything. Alright. Well, we need to provide power or something here. And there's a gauge over here, but of course this is useless right now while nothing's going on. So could this be what the spaceship represents, since it doesn't seem to be doing anything right now? Well, I don't see anything around here resembling that, so I guess we just have to wait and find out. And this does nothing either. There's a broken path here. Did Saavedro do this? Well, let's continue going up. More journal pages. This age has more pages than all the other ones. The cavern wall is almost ready. For weeks I've been polishing it, rubbing away at the cracks to obtain a smooth surface. I haven't been able to sleep much these last weeks. I was afraid I might never wake up. But if I can make him see all that happened, if I can show him the pain his family caused, it will be worth it. Tomorrow, I begin mixing the paints. I'm assuming that this cavern wall is the cave in Amateria that he's talking about with his paintings. Makes the most sense, at least. It can't be the final painting, since that seems to be referring to this age, and we haven't seen whatever it is that's in the heat yet. But maybe we will soon.